American people should speak. You should go out and vote. You're in voting now. Vote and let your senators know how strongly you feel. Vote now.
Are you going to pack the
Make
court?
sure you, in fact, let people know you're a senator. I'm not going to answer the question.
Why wouldn't you answer that question?
The question is,
the radical left.
Will you shut up, man?
Listen, who is on your list, Joe?
Who's on your list?
Right, gentlemen, I think
this
we've
is
ended
so
this.
He's going to pack the court.
We have
not going to give a list.
We have ended this segment. We're going to move on to the second segment.
That was really a productive segment, wasn't it? Keep yapping, man.
The people understand, Joe.
They sure
47 years you've done nothing. They understand.
Okay, listen up, because today's tea is piping hot. We're talking about Donald Trump's all-in-on-the-base strategy. Now, if you've been watching Trump's game plan over the years, you know he's never been one to go halfway. But here's the big question. Is this approach finally starting to fail him? And what does it mean for the upcoming elections? Buckle up, because we're breaking down exactly how this strategy has evolved, the moments it's backfired, and why his latest moves might just be the most surprising yet. All right, fam, let's get into it. So Trump has been sticking with this play-to-the-base approach for a long time. We're talking about the kind of strategy that feels like riding a roller coaster with no brakes. Back in 2016, this approach worked like magic. He energized a solid base of hardcore supporters, and they showed up in droves. They loved his no-filter attitude, his drain-the-swamp promise, and his bold stand against the establishment. But here's where things get messy. Flash forward to the 2018 midterms. Remember that? Trump's base was all in, but it wasn't enough. Republicans lost control of the House, which was a wake-up call to say the least. Some analysts were like, maybe this base-only strategy isn't the winning ticket for every election. But Trump? Nope. He doubled down on it. He said, "This is me, take it or leave it." And then came 2020, the big showdown with Biden. Trump's base was still solid, no doubt, but here's the thing. It didn't grow. And that's where we saw cracks in his strategy. Trump lost. And yeah, you could argue there were other factors, COVID-19, mail-in ballots, you name it. But at the end of the day, the base strategy didn't work like it did before. Biden was able to sway undecided voters and, critically, mobilize people who were simply tired of the constant chaos.
Donald Trump lost 2 debates to me in 2020. And since then, he hadn't shown up for debate. Now he's acting like he wants to debate me again. Well, make my day, pal. I'll even do it twice. So let's pick the dates, Donald. I hear you're free on Wednesdays.
This was where Trump's strategy hit a wall. Instead of reaching out to the swing voters or moderates, Trump continued to play to his most loyal supporters. You know, the ones who would stick by him no matter what. But in an election, loyalty alone doesn't guarantee victory. You need numbers, and that means pulling in new support. And so, here we are, analyzing a strategy that's either going to be legendary or a case study in what not to do. Now, fast forward to today. With the next election cycle on the horizon, Trump is once again running, and guess what? He's still sticking with that same base-focused strategy. No signs of reaching out to moderates or trying to win over independent voters. Instead, he's banking on his brand being stronger than ever. According to some sources, his campaign team is literally betting on the idea that, if they liked him before, they're gonna love him now. But is that really enough? Think about it. The political landscape has changed, like a lot. Since 2020, people have seen the impact of polarization and how it's affecting their daily lives. Voters are becoming more cautious about who they throw their support behind. And the truth is, not everyone is as loyal as they used to be. Let's get into Trump's messaging for a second. It's honestly kind of a double-edged sword. On one hand, his followers love that he doesn't mince words. He says things other politicians wouldn't dream of saying, and that's been his brand. But here's the catch. It's also why he's struggling to win over new voters. Imagine you're an undecided voter, maybe a little tired of politics as usual, but you're also not super into extreme rhetoric. Are you going to be swayed by a candidate who's all about his base? Probably not. And yet Trump seems to believe that his message is nationalized, that it speaks to everyone, no matter where they are. He's making fewer appearances in battleground states and instead focusing on places where he's already popular. This is what his team calls a nationalized approach. But here's where I gotta say, that's risky. In a tight race, even a single battleground state can make all the difference. Now, we can't ignore how campaigning has evolved. Trump's team is relying heavily on his media presence. And let's face it, the guy is a headline machine. Every rally, every press release, every tweet or post, it's all designed to reach his base, wherever they are. In a way, they're banking on his supporters tuning in, no matter where he physically is. But again, it's all a bit repetitive. We're seeing the same talking points, the same themes, the same us versus them narrative. On the flip side, his opponents are all about expanding their reach. They're focusing on swing states, yes, but they're also targeting demographics like Gen Z, first-time voters, and even those elusive undecideds. There's a lot of groundwork being laid to persuade new voters. They're holding town halls, hitting up college campuses, and using social media like pros. And while Trump's base strategy might feel powerful, remember, there's strength in numbers. Voter turnout in places like Wisconsin and Pennsylvania is expected to be crucial. So even if Trump's base shows up in full force, a strong turnout from the opposition could make all the difference. It's a high-stakes gamble, no doubt. But here's something worth thinking about. Why is Trump's base so loyal? For a lot of his supporters, it's about more than just politics. It's about feeling seen, feeling like there's someone out there who gets them. Trump has tapped into something emotional, a sense of belonging that goes beyond policies or party lines. To his supporters, he's a voice against the establishment, the guy who's fighting the good fight. And that's a powerful connection. Yet, for all the loyalty, there's still that question. Can loyalty alone win an election? History tells us probably not. If Trump really wants to take back the White House, he's going to need more than just his base. He's going to need the undecideds, the moderates, and maybe even a few swing voters. Now let's look at the bigger picture. What Trump's doing isn't just affecting his campaign, it's shaping the future of American politics. We're seeing a shift where candidates are either all in with their base or scrambling to appeal to a broader audience. And this could have long-term consequences. Are we moving towards a political climate where compromise is impossible? Where candidates only care about keeping their most loyal supporters happy? For some voters, this is scary. The idea that politicians aren't interested in winning over new supporters, just keeping the old ones happy, makes people feel disconnected from the process. And it's not just Trump. It's a trend we're seeing across the board. So what's the takeaway here? Trump's base strategy is bold, no doubt. He's sticking with what he knows, what worked for him in 2016, and hoping it'll be enough to take him to victory again. But as we've seen, times have changed, and people are looking for more. Will Trump's unwavering dedication to his base be his ticket back to the White House? Or could it be the very thing that holds him back? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure. This election cycle is going to be one for the history books. And whether you're a supporter or a skeptic, there's no denying that Trump's strategy is, well, kind of fascinating. So grab your popcorn because this show is far from over. Let's see how this gamble plays out.